Welcome to the Wizards of Ecom, your no-fluff playbook for online success. Each episode is fully packed with actionable tactics you can implement in your business right now. Take your life to a higher level and excel in your online success. It's time to work on you and your business. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Wizards of Ecom podcast. This is episode 128. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'll be your host for the show. On today's episode, we have returning guest Kieth O'Brien of Page.One. Page.One is a team of marketing strategists, creative misfits, wordsmiths, data geeks, and PPC savants, helping businesses take it to the next level. Welcome back, Kieth.
Thank you very much, Carlos. God, who wrote the copy for that? That was so much. That was a mouthful.
It was very good. You came back, so I wanted to tweak that intro a little bit, and I saw this, and I'm like, that's pretty insane. You wrote it?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot. It's a lot in an intro.
Heck yeah. I invited you back to the show to discuss something all Amazon sellers have to think about at one point or another in their e-com journeys, and that is to hire or not to hire an agency specifically. In this show, I wanted to go over pros and cons, as well as how to know if the agency wooing you is the right fit. You have a ton of experience running successful agencies, so I could not think of a better person to riff about this with and try to just unpack the subject overall. Goal being so that people that want to hire agencies or maybe have been told bad things by someone who had a bad experience can just make a more informed decision. Before really going into the good and bad with agencies, can you please share a little bit about Page.One? Why did you start it? Who is your ideal client? And why did you decide to choose this person as your ideal client?
Oh, interesting. That's a great questions. So little just quick overview, 10,000 foot level. We're a full service agency. And for us, that means we have built out teams in really all the areas that run and grow an Amazon business. So that sits into, for us, basically two different camps. So we have our managed services, that is our advertising management and then full brand management. And then we have our project side, which is creative copy. And that breaks down into product photography, graphic design, video, and copywriting. So on the project side, we'll take anyone that wants to have great work done and have their assets look top of market. On the brand management side, generally we're at revenues of $500,000 and up, but our ideal client is 7 figures, preferably with Amazon and off Amazon business, but it's not a requirement by any means. And so that's who we work with. On the ad management side, generally if you're spending $5,000 and up, it's a good fit for us. And then honestly, about a third of our business is done with other agencies. So that's really the area of business that I've always focused on. And so we're a great kind of fit in, tuck up underneath another agency's client base, because most agencies don't have in-house creative, and we've tackled that and have a real solid workflow, and turnaround time and quality is consistent for them.
So the ideal client is someone that's selling in excess of 7 figures for managed services, in excess of 7 figures, probably spending $5,000 or more per month, which is sort of where you'd have to be almost for 7
Correct.
figures.
Yeah. And on the project side, we'll take anybody. But I don't want to discourage smaller sellers, because our biggest account, we grew from 50,000 a month to 750 a month over 2 years. And so just because you're under that threshold doesn't mean that if you think you could be a fit. It's more about mentality of the owner than it is size of the business.
What besides mentality though, why do you think that? What's the magic of that area of $5,000 per month and 7 figures, even though you have experience to work with lesser numbers like you're mentioning? But what happens there?
I think, the account has some history, right? Is number one. So they're not brand new to the industry. And so, they're, someone's life isn't rising and falling on the ACOS of that day or the success of that one SKU. So it's just, as you know, that first product that you launched, like, you're on pins and needles, your butt puckers when you send off the wire to China for the first time. You really don't know, right? And so it just comes with a little seasonality, and you look at the business different. You tend to get unemotional about your products. When you first launch, you're so emotionally connected to everything. Like they're like your children going off to college. So as your business grows, I think people just mature, like operationally, and that comes with a kind of a seasoned attitude.
So no, if we can't get our ACOS here, I'm not sure I can continue next month, sort of thing, is what you're staying away
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Because as you know, like on managed services, there's so much front loaded work as an agency. We don't do contracts on our PPC work. On our fully brand management, we do. But you invest a lot more than you get paid for in the beginning, and then you make your profit over time as you get a longer term client. So someone comes in, and also, like, we want a cadence of communication with a client, and honestly, if it's overly needy, then it's just not going to work, because we don't have enough time to work on the account if we're spending all the time working, answering emails.
With the clients that you get, do you find that most of them have worked with an agency previously in the Amazon space, or you're the first one?
A lot of them. Yeah. A lot of them. So,
and is,
yeah, I mean, 60% maybe.
And is the opinion that they have of agencies at that point more of a, the last agency was amazing, they got me here, but they can't get me there, or that was a total dumpster fire? You need to prove to me that you're better than them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to think that more of those experiences are the first, but I think they're more of the latter. We had a couple clients move on this year that we grew, 2+ years, did incredibly well, and they decided to hire in-house, as the agency bills start to climb towards 6 figures a year. They start looking at, okay, can I just hire my own guy to do this full time? And that's a real, it's a real concern, right? But I think there's shared. I understand the challenges of running an agency, and so coming off, I'll never talk down about another agency, because it's hard, right? And I think some of the biggest challenges is just the managing expectations, and what you get for what you're paying for. And ultimately, it all comes down to time split across staff members. And if you're sucking up a lot of time in one area, it's gonna influence your other areas, right? So you just got to get really clear about what you want and make sure that's being communicated. And if your needs aren't getting met, then you have those conversations sooner than later.
I love that you just said that, because it ties through like perfectly. We couldn't have set this up better. But my question is, before hiring an agency, should a seller have a certain level of experience in what they are hiring for, in your opinion? And also, of the people that had these horror stories to talk about the previous agency they worked with, do you find later on that majority of them were too needy, or you're noticing a certain area and you're like, there might be a strong story on the other side of this?
It depends. I mean, I think that, there's 2 ways you can learn, right? There's lots of ways, but you can learn, like, take PPC, for example. You can learn advertising in advance and do your level best to get, a knowledge base to where you can communicate with an agency. Or you can let someone else run it, and you can reverse engineer and learn on the back of someone doing something. So I don't think it's a requirement one way or the other, but I think you have a responsibility as a business owner to get a knowledge base to where you can have intelligent conversations with the vendors that you hire to make their job their work more effective, and not distract an agency from doing what they know how to do. So what that means is, if you just don't understand tacos and ACOS and or the life cycle of a product through advertising, like, you need to learn this stuff so that you're not freaking out when something happens, or a day flares up, right? And you can put good questions to task, right? When you have your meeting. So, okay, cool. So these were our goals for the month. This is what our actual results were. Take me through why you crushed we want to know why that worked better than we thought it would. And we want to know why it didn't perform as well as we hoped it would. But yeah, so I think there's responsibility to get educated, but I don't think it necessarily has to be in advance.
And the other side of that, I see this a lot. I want to like stay neutral here and see what your answer to this is. And that is, there's a lot of information out there on how to be a successful seller right now. And that's translated into some like mega sellers, like some really big sellers growing and being successful. Do you think that just because a person is a successful seller on Amazon, that necessarily means that they're just automatically going to be able to run a great agency?
Oh, God, no. No, God, no.
I agree.
I think at some level, it's almost, it could be counterproductive, right? I think that, and, I have a lot of areas that I'm growing and learning in more areas than areas that I feel like I'm competent in, right? Like I'm a sponge and trying to give into new eyes. And, you and I have been at this stuff for a minute, right? But, I think that, as an agency, I think as a seller transformed agencies, like you see things through your lens, which isn't always applicable across the board. I think often doers are not the best managers and growers of people. But it just depends, right? It just depends. Agencies are you get paid based on your efficiency and performance of a team within time constraints, right? And it's really easy to get feature creep, especially when you're doing full service or managed services. It's really easy to, get buried in a client work and pretty soon you haven't even made profit on that client, right? It's easy to let the questions and all that stuff kind of creep in. But anyway, so I don't think it's a precursor.
I agree 100%. Having sold and having an agency, I can say that there is almost no overlap in the skills necessary to be successful in one and the other. I could totally see where you're saying too, that it might even be a hindrance in some cases. The only thing I think where there is some help in the very beginning is that when you're having a conversation with someone, 100%. You sound like you're one of the guys and you're like, this person understands me.
It definitely helps you sell as an agency. No doubt.
I loved how you worded that. So it's your success as an agency. I mean, results, but it's your efficiencies. Can you say that again? It's your efficiencies within a time constraint, or that was a one-off. That was a one-off wonder.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I think obviously any vendor that a client would use, they want that company to make money and be profitable. Otherwise they're going to be gone. Right. And so, I think I find as an agency, we're constantly battling with that gross margin number, right? So that our net is good enough, right? And that gross margin as an agency is 100%. Like, how much time did you spend on this client account this month? And that's easy to kind of let loose, right? So especially on a flare-up month where there might be a bunch of account issues, or Amazon does what Amazon does, or there's a lot of products being launched. Anything could really drive it, right? So, yeah, and it's always fun, or the best-selling product gets suppressed and you just lost 20% of the account revenue. Things happen.
Nowadays, it seems like you could throw a rock and hit somebody that says they're an agency. It seems like the barrier of entry to say, hey, I have an agency is nothing, right? It's like a web page and updating your LinkedIn maybe. But what do you think are some of the major red flags you've heard of that somebody that wants to, hire an agency for the first time and for some reason they're not reaching out directly to Page.One? But what do you wish you could be on their shoulder saying, ask this, or if that person says this is a huge red flag?
Yeah, I don't know. I think kind of the standard things across all businesses, right? Does it sound like a bit too good to be true, right? Is everything, puppy dogs and rainbows that's coming out of their mouth, like everything is great? Because in reality, this business is not easy, right? And there's a lot of things within the Amazon platform that are outside of the agency's control. Some of which are going to fall on the actual, the seller, the business, and some of them are back on Amazon, right? And so, for example, we have a large prospect that's, we're being considered among 2 or 3 other agencies. And, he asked some great questions, and this is a newer division of a very big company. And we'd love the account, right? Would absolutely love it. But he said, look, if we should have products land on November 1st. This first round, they're launching I know, look at your face, because right? And they're launching dozens of SKUs, right? Across 3 different brands, right? And I said, and what's today? September 21st, right? I know. They're like, yeah, well, we should be able to catch the holiday rush. I'm like, dude,
No.
like if you were confident that you wanted to catch the holiday rush, your product should have landed July 1, right? We theoretically, let's say there's 30 SKUs, we could mad dash expedite the work and have listings ready, photography done, all that stuff. It would be a challenge because it's 5 weeks, but if they land, ports are going to get delayed. The 3PL is going to get delayed. That Amazon, even if they say we just got it, it could be a month or 6 weeks before they actually check it in, right? I mean, I think they'd be lucky to catch any holiday sales, to be honest, right? And so I told him that. He was like, and they're, so if that kind of stuff is coming out of the agency's mouth, yeah, we can get you up. We can get, just smell bullshit when it starts to stink.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's well said. Yeah. We're doing this on video for anyone listening to this audio. My face immediately was like September 1st.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's tempting. And what did you tell them?
I said,
you really wanted this account and this is.
I told them exactly what I just said. I said, look, I said, in theory, if you gave us the agreement today, we can race to have as many of these SKUs and listings ready, because they need photography, content, everything. Copy, right? Everything. We will race, and we'll start with what we think are going to be the biggest earners based on research, and we'll start and we'll work our way down the catalog, hoping that we have some up on all the lines. And
brand new Amazon account. They can't even send all that inventory in.
100%, right? So, I mean, they're going to be limited, 1,000 units or something like that, right? So, or 2,000 maybe. But I said, but look, the real factor here is going to be shipping, logistics, and Amazon, right? And it's, in all honesty, your stuff may get received November 15th, and they might not check in a single item until after the holidays, right? I mean, it's possible, but that's all. It's possible either way. So I said, look, the only thing that could be interesting is you're bringing all this inventory in when a lot of brands are going to be running out of stock, right? So, we might get the luck of the draw, and Amazon, is selling a ton of this particular types of SKUs, and their top 3 sellers all run out of stock, and they expedite your stuff just because they know they can sell it. So, it's interesting, but no, you overpromise something, it never is going to work out well, ever.
I'm definitely curious, offline to hear how this pans out. I mean, I hope they decide to work with you.
Yeah, me and you both.
Just look at those SKUs too. They're going to be all merchant fulfilled trash.
I've got one more. I've got to get them back something today or tomorrow, and we'll know by the end of the week on it. But be a great opportunity. I just, and that's the other thing. If you overpromise that, like the whole relationship starts off on this negative situation that
A big L.
yeah, right. Like, you know, yeah. And, they don't want to hear it, but if they ask me my opinion, I'd say, look, you guys need to slow it down. Let's do things right. Let's get us set well. Forget about Q4 2021 because you're not going to hit it. It doesn't. You're going all this extra, and this is like across the board. All this extra pressure that sellers put on themselves for Q4, and they end up making a lot of bad decisions because they're so focused on getting there, and it kind of it takes shortcuts and you do things that you wouldn't normally do, and it's just not worth it. There's always a next year.
I mean, depending where your brand's at, or depending on the like life cycle of your product, I also see something similar with like the Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing.
100%.
And I found some years back that it was the least profitable time of the year for me, and we just backed off. We stopped participating. Again, that doesn't apply to everybody, but we just backed off, and it's now turned into like an actual day to get excited about.
Yeah, I think the best Black Fridays, Cyber Mondays, going into holidays is when you've done your job and you do not have to do anything different, and you just reap the benefits of extra traffic. Because most products are going to get a lift. And so if you've done all your work and you're ranking well and you're naturally there, and you don't have to run specials and promos and all that crap when it comes into the holidays, it's going to be lights out for you.
What's the biggest pain point you see that people that want to work with you on managed services have?
Well, I think, let's see. So like our min management fee generally is like $3,500 a month, right? And that's our min base, and then we take a percentage, and so the business has to be able to justify that. So that's why it's like if you're at seven figures and you're netting out say 20%, you can afford it. It's a percentage of your monthly revenue. And hopefully you've taken some burden off of you so that you can go do the things that you're better at and go grow co-grow the brand, right? I think it is getting clear on expectations, managing those well, identifying what's important to you as a brand, and then being open to what an agency is going to say. Like, we had a brand that we worked with last year. We didn't continue with them this year, but it was a successful year. We grew them from like 900,000 to 1.35, increased their profit. And we did so much creative work. The brand just looks amazing, right? But, there was so much volume in that space, and they just weren't willing to invest into advertising. Like, we felt that we could have 3x that business in year one if they would have came off the wallet with advertising, and profitable. The advertising was profitable. So it's being open to kind of here's what we see as an agency. Here's what we think we can do. Can you step into that? And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, right? All that extra spend is going to come with it a lot of extra inventory dollars, right? So you only can do what you can do as a business and an agency.
A bit of advice that you would give somebody, a bit of advice and anything you feel like I've not asked that you feel like sellers should definitely know before they hire an agency, or a bit of advice that you would give someone, because not everyone just starting an agency right now is some evil entity trying to do harm, But like, what advice would you give them with all of your experience in starting an agency besides take Advil? Like,
it's funny. I think that like there's probably like 3 tiers of agencies in this space, right? Like there's the 0 to $1 million, right? And I think if you're under 300,000-400,000 a year in revenue as an agency, you're kind of just you're a consultant, right? You probably just have a couple of outsourced staff, no one on payroll, that kind of thing. And so I think, but a lot of those grow. A lot of those will become $1 million plus agencies in a year or 2 years. And I think you got to get really clear as a business owner what's important to you, right? What kind of attention do you want? What kind of time do you want? What areas of expertise in an agency do you think are most important for you? What does your business lack at the moment? Most agencies, I think have a level of competence across the board. I think the questions that would be interesting to ask, like, how many accounts do your brand managers manage? If they're going to be honest with you, some are willing to give references of clients, right? Some aren't. But I think it's feel. You're going to have a relationship. I mean, at least it's going to last a year, and so you just have to legitimately want to spend time with this team, right? And so it's got to go back to, like, our rule in business is no dickheads, right? So and that's on all sides. So if you're not going to enjoy your monthly or bi-weekly meetings, then why would you hire them, right? Regardless of how good they are. You want to like your business, and you want to like your vendors that you're paying money to every month. So find their area of expertise, ask questions, what they're best at, and if they're transparent, they might say, hey, look, what are you not, what's an area of weakness? How thin they stretch their account managers and their staff is really important, because it could be a great agency, but if someone's managing 12 accounts, just run the hours. You get 3 hours a week.
So what is Page.One's superpower, and how can people get a hold of you to see if they're a good fit?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think our what we're probably best at is CRO, conversion rate optimization, for Amazon. So it's understanding the story of the brand, the pain points that the products are solving, and how to visually how to marry all of that together with visual, create content, and advertising in a way that's compelling to the audience, right? To the potential customers. That's probably what we're best at.
I'm going to jump out there too, and you guys have some of the most killer creatives I've ever seen. It truly is, like, it's amazing. We talked a little bit before the recording. Looks like we're gonna coordinate something to host an event, hopefully at your studio, definitely before the year's up, I hope.
Sure. Yeah, and probably what I'm most excited about, just because it's new, like, we just launched video production as a service, what we're talking about. And like, we've been doing it for our own internal clients for years, but I just couldn't figure out how to price it in a way that fit for the e-commerce market. So, we launched that recently. Videos are coming out freaking outstanding. And I love it, because it's been 100% win-win-win for everybody, right? Like, the quality's been great. So brands are super excited and happy. They're getting them at affordable prices. And the creative work has been really solid so far. So I'm excited about that, because it's the visual part of Amazon is going to just continue to take more and more of an importance on the front end.
Well, I'm excited about it too, because I wasn't even up to speed on, like, the video side of what you do, especially that it's at affordable pricing. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and to work with you on some of that video stuff. Nowadays, if you're a private label brand and you don't have a video presence, or I say a video strategy on Amazon, you truly are getting left behind. That's just, it's not an option anymore. It's not a matter of, like, I don't feel like it's going to help me in my thumbnail image. And it's a lot more than that. It's the ads, storefront.
100%. Yeah. And look, I mean, if for the detail page, if you can get someone to watch your video, right, your 45-second or 1 minute video, you have increased their engagement by such a, like, it's not just a double, it's like a 10x factor. Like, you've reduced the bounce rate, right? Like, what's the number one thing you do on a site for increasing conversion is reduce bounce rate. So if someone's watching your video, they're spending 3 times as much time on your page, right? So, and if you do a good job, like, they're so far down the funnel when they finish watching that video, like, it's just great for conversion. But yeah, and then, people will, like, oh, I got one video ad for my product. Okay. Well, how do you know? Aren't you testing it against other versions of that? Like, you really can go, you can go full boat, and you can have a huge video arsenal that you can keep testing and refining the process, because it doesn't take much to pay yourself back on a video that outperforms another video on advertising.
I feel like most people's hesitancy in getting more than one creative, or more than, in this case, more than one video done at the time, is they probably are ignorant in the process of how it's done to begin with. And then they associate it with, in some cases, a very real large price tag. And they're like, look, I'm going to do one. But in your case, you've, again, having talked about it offline, you've really solved that, and you kept it affordable so people can test and have multiple videos.
Yeah. So, everything's on a project. So we don't charge per video, we charge per project. And so, you might need 3 to 4 videos on any particular product on Amazon, like for different purposes. And they all can be versions of the same storyline. And so that's what we do. We create a compelling storyline that the long version goes on the detail page, and we can create as many different options as the seller would want for advertising. And generally we're going to change the opening, right? So you may have version A that's got the first 3 to 5 seconds is this, and then the next one is version B, and the next one's version C. And those are going to test out completely different, because that first 3 to 5 seconds on an ad is what gets people to click or stop.
Excellent. So Page.One, Page.One is where people check it out. How do people get a hold of you? And I already know what your favorite book is. What are you currently reading? Like, what are you feeding your brain nowadays?
So I've got a couple on the go. I just finished Giftology by John Ruhlin. I'm about halfway through 80/20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall. And those are the two that those are the two.
Sweet. I've read both of them. I love both of them. They're both on the bookshelf behind me. So great reads. And best way to contact you?
Me personally would be LinkedIn. That's where I do most of my business networking. I tend to keep Facebook for, personal friends, people I've met in real life.
Gardening, paintball. That's
no. I mean, generally Facebook are people I have actually met, right? Share a cocktail with, or a meal with, or whatnot. But LinkedIn is wide open. The site's Page.One. I'm Kieth at Page.One. So however you want to initiate is fine by me, really.
I love it. Thank you for taking the time out to be on the show. I may need to, we're definitely going to come back on in the future, but we may need to redo the episode on conversion. That's the only episode in the history of this podcast to date that I had a wrong mic. Like, I had a mic that was facing the back of my computer, and the most highly downloaded episode, especially the topic talking about conversion rate optimization, and bad mic. So we may have to redo that. And
anytime, man. Well, look, man, we happen to be, local. We're 25, 30 minutes from each other. But if there is an OG of the OGs in the Amazon space, it is you. And you were doing it long before it was cool, long before people were talking about it, and long before there were any resources or help or anything like there is today. And so, there's a lot of people's businesses that have been built on the back of your hard work, and I think that's really commendable.
I love it. I think we just found the little sizzle clip for this episode, that last part, so I can listen to it over and over. You're the man. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to everybody next week.
Bye-bye.
It was fun sharing this episode with you. If you found value in what you've heard, please show your love with a subscribe, rate, and a review of the show. Until next time.